Yakazakazoo, we're here to mind fuck you.
That was pretty intense. But yes, we are. Yes, we are. All right, here. This is the Bunny Rabbit's Hole. I am Jason. This is...
I am Craig.
All right. If you have never been here to the Bunny Rabbit's Hole, or if you're just returning from a long hiatus to the Bunny Rabbit's Hole, maybe you have forgotten, or maybe you never knew in the first place. But what we do is we pick one central theme. Each and every week, we talk about that theme until something inspires us to talk about something different, which a lot of times that happens every time one of us opens our fucking mouth. But what generally happens is another one will open their mouth, and then we'll do another mouth, and we get like a telephone game, and we come back to the original topic somehow, but we do. And then we talk about that topic until something else inspires us to talk about something different.
That's correct. And we are the king of segues. As Jason said, we pick a topic. We take usually a week, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on the topic. We do both sides, both for and against, not just what fits our narrative, because we're not closed-minded people sometimes.
But certain things.
Right. But we also include our opinions because this is for entertainment, and we try to be funny. We fail at it many times, and sometimes we are successful. And if you're easily offended, we don't care.
Exactly. We do firmly and honestly and wholeheartedly believe that being offended is a choice. If you're offended, you have the opportunity to leave the situation. You don't have to make the situation worse. Exactly. When I'm in a room full of people that are talking about politics that I don't like, I generally either put on headphones, shut the fuck up, or I just get the fuck out of there.
Right.
And you have the same choice.
I usually choose the latter. If they're talking about politics, I leave because there's no point.
No, or religion.
Yep.
But fuck those topics. We're not talking about either one of those topics today. What are we talking about today, Craig?
Today we are talking about the marvels of lucid dreaming, or as the old Queensryche song was, silent lucidity.
You know, it's funny. The whole time I was researching this, I just had, like, obviously that song hit me first, but then Infinite Dreams by Iron Maiden came through, and it turned into Lucid Dreams. You know, can't deny them. You know, it got to like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Lucid Dreamer.
Right. So, if you think about it, I would bet our first experience of seeing anything about lucid dreaming would have been from Nightmare on Elm Street. We are the dream warriors. Don't want to dream no more. Very
true. Very true. All right. So let's just jump right in. And I think obviously where we need to start is, what is a lucid dream?
Well, a lucid dream is a dream. Lucid dreams occur during REM stages of sleep, which is rapid eye movement, which is your deepest set of sleep. It's when all your dreams occur and things like that, and your eyes will be cluttered while you're sleeping.
That's the good sleep that you get at night.
Right. And lucid dreaming usually happens in like the 5th cycle of REM, the longest cycle. And it's a dream. You're in a dream state where you realize that you are dreaming. And there's ways to check if you're dreaming. Some of the ways you want to check if you're dreaming is look at a clock, because if you look at like one of those clocks with the hands, you know, you'll look at it and you look away and look back at it, and I guarantee it's going to be like 12 hours difference or something like that, because your mind can't fathom that. Or look at your hands or your feet.
It won't have the right numbers, or it'd be running backwards.
Yep.
One of the other ways that's really common is to count your fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you start counting your fingers, more than likely you're going to have 6 or 7, or your hands will be a different color than what you're used to looking at.
Right. Yeah, because and your feet as well, because for some reason in your dreams, your hands and feet, your mind has a hard time recognizing what they're supposed to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you know you're dreaming. And another way is what you hear in a lot of the videos that we watched is you hold one hand up and you take your other hand with your finger and try to push your finger through your palm. And if you are successful and it doesn't hurt, you're dreaming.
Right. The other thing is you're pushing it along with this. There's pushing up against solid objects, and most of the time you can phase through them.
Right. And in these states of lucid dreaming, your senses are heightened.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can feel things, you can taste things, you can smell things. I mean, some of the research found, they said that sex and lucid dreaming is incredible. So I mean, that that's kind of, I mean, that's kind of like a small gist. I mean, doing the research on this, I think we've probably only scratched like 10% of the surface of lucid dreaming. There's so much to it.
Right. I mean, now, what is the main difference between a dream and a lucid dream?
In a lucid dream, I believe, and I'm not 100% sure on this one because I was researching the dangers and the benefits, not so much that aspect of it, but like in a lucid dream, you become aware that you're dreaming and you can take control of the dream.
That's really the main difference right there. Is a lucid dream is something where you can actually become the architect of it. It's kind of like in Inception. What
Yes.
Kitty Pryde's role in that was she was the architect of these dreams, where she was basically the lucid dreamer for everybody else. She created the environment and in the structure so everybody else could work within it.
Right.
And that's kind of what a lucid, very rudimentary. There's a lot of psychoanalytical stuff like that goes along with it. But one of the things that differentiates a dream from a lucid dream is a lucid dream is not only mental, but it's actually physical. It actually affects your body. A dream is all happens within in your headspace, but a lucid dream is a lot more. Your entire body is within it.
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to answer a frequently asked question right now because I'm sure people are going to hear that go, does that mean you can die? If you die in your dream, does that mean you die? No, you're not.
No.
You don't die from lucid dreaming.
Oh, and the other thing you can't do is you can't pull Freddy's hat out of the dream.
Right.
In reality.
Right.
Because I would be heisting shit all the time. Hope Diamond, I'll take 2.
Right. So, what puts somebody on the path to lucid dreaming?
So, all right. To get there, is that what you're kind of asking? Is like, how do you get there?
Why would somebody want to do it?
Okay. I found a whole myriad of different reasons why people would want to, but I thought the most compelling to me was trying to find an answer to a situation in your own life through your dream, so you can kind of explore your subconscious, almost physically.
Right.
And that was I thought the most compelling. There's a lot of other reasons, but I thought that was the most compelling reason why anybody would even want to try it.
Right. Yeah. That would, that kind of like it, because one of the benefits, and that from what you talked about, is a direct correlation of that is improved problem solving. Mm-hmm. By doing that, it increases your problem solving skills and it helps you in your waking world be able to utilize that stuff that you found in your dream in real life to fix whatever ails you or whatever. I'm not saying you're going to heal yourself automatically, but you know what I mean.
Right. It's almost like if you've ever researched or done self-hypnosis, it's kind of a way of being able to do that at the same, all together. It's kind of a more in-depth, it's like microdosing and self-hypnosis all wrapped up into one.
Right. And, it's cool because because they also say that people who lucid dream on a regular basis have a larger prefrontal cortex, because that part so they're actually using more than just 10% of their brain.
Correct.
And it doesn't just increase problem solving, but it gives you a greater awareness. You can use it for anxiety disorders, depression, things like that.
One of the reasons why we thought about this, well, it was your idea, but I think one of the reasons that we really ran with it right now is with the state of the planet at the moment. there's a lot of depression out there. And this is a way of walking yourself through and rationalizing and dealing with a lot of the anxieties of situations you have no control over.
Right. And
So,
it's a hell of a lot cheaper than meds and a therapist.
yeah. No, I think probably the logical step here would be, how do you go about lucid
Yes.
dreaming? So the one that I want to say, and I think this is the funniest, and I'm going to make fun of it. So don't try it this way. There are pills that will help you lucid dream, and there's a whole market for them.
Yeah.
There's hundreds and hundreds of different pills that will allow you to lucid dream, and lose weight, lucid dream. And it's ridiculous. One of them is actually referred to magic pills of homotherapy.
Yeah.
So don't. You don't
Yeah.
need a pill to help you lucid dream, okay?
Right.
Essentially, the only thing that these things have is they're sprinkled with a little melatonin, and don't do melatonin either. I mean, I know a lot of people have good experiences with it, and I'm going to explain my melatonin story later on my opinion of lucid dreaming coming up.
Okay.
I'll talk about that. So remind me to talk about that. But I just wanted to throw out, there is a magic pill for everything. Okay.
Yeah.
These are placebos. These are sugar pills.
Right.
Don't buy them because you don't need them.
Right. Well, and the method that I used and tried, and I did this unintentionally.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm
I
glad you
did
did
it
unintentionally, because most of the time when you lucid dream for the first time, it's going to be. And my experience was too a lucid dream a long time ago. But go ahead.
Yeah. So it's what they call, it's abbreviated as WBTB. It's wake back to bed. And what you do is you go to sleep for 5 hours. You set yourself an alarm. And then after 5 hours, because it's in that fifth hour where you hit that deepest REM stage. So you wake yourself up for, like about a half hour or so. You try not to wake yourself up. You keep yourself on the verge of sleep. And then after a half hour, you go back and sleep, setting an intention in your mind to lucid dream.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was Friday night. I went to sleep. I woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, I'm so tired. I'm going to go back to bed. I said, you know what? I'm going to try lucid. I decided, okay, I went to sleep with the intention. I'm going to have a lucid dream. And I did. And I failed miserably at this. This is why I highly recommend, do not try this without researching it and preparing yourself appropriately for it.
You would not go hiking for an overnight trip without properly packing your pack, bringing food, a tent, a sleeping bag. It's the same type of thing. Make sure you have all the proper gear, which is preparedness.
Yeah. And so I went to sleep, and then I went into a dream, and in this dream, I'm in this, what I describe as a hallway living room, because I was sleeping on a couch, and there's a TV at the end. And then next thing I know, I'm up, I'm dressed, and my daughter comes in, who I haven't seen in a while, and I give her a big hug. She gives me a hug. I tell her I love her. I miss her, and she tells me the same thing. And then she said, I said, well, I'd love it if you could come visit. She's like, I want to. And so then all of a sudden it changes, and we're at a table with her, my ex-wife, and one of my other kids. And, I looked at my daughter and said, have you talked to your mom about what you told me? She's like, no. I said, well, I think you should talk to your mom first before, and then we can see what we can do. Well, then my other kid pipes up with something that he basically thinks I failed him at. And I snapped and told him to get out. And then I woke up, and I was angry for the entire day.
Nice.
So now, after doing the research, what I should have done was confronted the problem. And the problem that I saw out of that was that, we all have times where we feel like a failure, especially when it comes to our kids. And so it was my subconscious trying to deal with the fact that sometimes I feel like that when it comes to my kids, like I failed them in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, now that I can see that, I can deal with it better. But that was not how I wanted to start lucid dreaming.
Well, you had like a Twilight Zone episode going on there with starting with the hallway, the living room hallway with was it an old, I'm just going to ask a few questions. Was it an old style TV with knobs?
No, it was like a big flat screen.
Okay. Because when you're saying that, the first thing I was remembering was remember the Twilight Zone movie?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a kid that had the magical powers. He could do the wishes.
Oh yeah.
There's a scene in there where there's just a chair with his sister with no mouth and a TV that's constantly playing cartoons. Now,
Yep.
that was what I was envisioning when you were saying the long
yeah
hallway.
No, and it was weird because the couch that I was sleeping on was the couch that I had in my apartment before I met my wife.
Mm.
And so it's kind of weird because now it clicks to me, because like when I had that apartment and my kids would come for their weekend, I would give my daughter my bed and I would sleep on the couch because I only had a 2-bedroom apartment and the boys could share, but yeah, it's weird. But I want to get, before I go into more, because I know you have lucid dreams you want to talk about, and I have 2 others that I want to talk about that I've had in my life. But I want to talk about some more of the benefits first before we get into that.
Definitely.
Like if you're an artist, I highly recommend trying lucid dreaming because it helps with your creativity, and also you can improve your motor skills with it.
Right.
Because in your dream, when you take control of it, you can go do whatever you want. Like one person decided, hey, I'm dreaming, I'm going to fly. And they just rose up and went up into the clouds in their dream. So you can change your dream, and then you can go, okay, like if you're an artist, I'm having a problem with this picture I've been trying to paint. So you put yourself in front of that picture and you figure out a way to fix it in your dream. And then when in waking life, it's going to help you fix that, and avoid those problems in the future. But they'll improve your motor skills. It's just like you're still practicing. It's like every pro athlete it's like Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, and stuff like that. They visualize, I'm making that shot. I'm making that shot. I'm shooting that goal. It's going in the net. And they always visualize that. And you hear stories from Barry Bonds saying that when he's in that zone, it's like the ball just slows down. Everything's in slow motion, and he can it doesn't matter where it's at. He can hit it and it's over the fence. And lucid dreaming helps get you to that state in waking life as well.
Right. Well, there was going back to the visualization thing, there was a thing that they did with Larry Bird years ago where he was, obviously it was years ago. This is when he was playing with the Boston Celtics. So it was probably mid to late 80s when he did it. They blindfolded him and put him on the free throw line where he set up where he normally would. They blindfolded him. He sat there for a few minutes and visualized it. Then they put a basketball in his hand, and then he made the free throw blindfolded.
I believe it.
Because he just visualized exactly what he needed to do. He knew the distance of the shot. It was a free throw, and he just went through the mechanics and just visualized it, and boom.
Right. And and this is kind of cool too, because like we both have experience with basketball. We played a lot when we were younger. And like if you're shooting a free throw, and it depends on the balls, because each ball is different too. And if it's a ball you're used to, just how hard you have to throw it. You have to shoot it to hit the free throw. You know the mechanics of it. You go up and it's but doing it blindfolded for somebody who's made millions of free throws throughout his life, was probably cakewalk to him.
Yeah, but I was just saying, it was an example of visualization and follow through.
Right, especially Larry Bird was king of the threes. Larry Bird was my idol growing up. I'm sorry.
Nice. I was more of a Bill Lambert person, but
yeah, I can see that. You like the gritty. I like the finesse.
like the
See,
blue.
I was an Isaiah guy. You were a Lambier. But the other things that you can achieve, the benefits that you get from that is, um, you can use it to overcome nightmares. If you're having a reoccurring nightmare, you can put yourself in that lucid state and you can overcome that nightmare. Like when I was watching all the videos and stuff, like there was an expert, I can't remember his name. I probably should have wrote it down, but I didn't. I apologize for that. But he was talking on this podcast with this Irish guy, and he said, yes, one of the people that I work with, I work with him with their dreaming and stuff, said that he has a recurring nightmare where he's being chased by a demon. He's like, and I'm like, so I asked him, like, well, what do you do in that dream? He's like, I just run until I wake up. He's like, well, have you thought about stopping and asking the demon why it's chasing you? He's like, well, no, that it's going to catch me. He's like, well, during that dream, you can become lucid and you can figure it out and you can do that. He's like, okay. And the guy was really timid to try it. So the next week he comes back and he's all excited and he's like, well, what happened? He's like, I took your advice. He's like, so I fell asleep the other night and the demon was chasing me. And I'm running and running, and I remember, then all of a sudden it clicked to me, and I remember what you said, so I stopped. I turned around, I faced the demon, I said, why are you chasing me? And the demon looked at me and said, how should I know? It's your dream.
And
he never had the nightmare again.
That's awesome. It's like also I was waiting for you to say the demon like touched him on the shoulder and says, tag, you're it, and then runs away.
That would have been funny too. But it gives you, when you develop all that stuff in your dreams, it transfers to waking life. You can have more control over yourself because you have more self-awareness. So when you're getting mad. So like I recently resigned a position off a board of directors for a thing in my local area of town because every time I was go to a meeting, I was getting angry. And I was getting angry because I didn't see a way that I could help them, and I didn't see a way where they could help the organization that they were the board of.
Right. They were causing more problems than they were solving.
Right. And so I had to take a step back and go, getting angry directly affects my health, directly affects my family, directly affects every aspect of my life. So do I want to put myself in that situation anymore? And I decided no. So the next day I contacted the director of the organization and I had probably a half-hour chat with her where I was calm and reasonable. And, because I told her I didn't want to leave. And I left the meeting early because I was afraid that I would lose my temper more and it come out vocally. And I said, that's not how I want to be remembered. I'd rather be remembered as the guy who tried, couldn't do it, and just did everything he could, and then that was it. and I said I'd rather leave professionally than unprofessionally.
Right, which is understandable.
Right. But if I didn't have self-awareness, would I have been able to do that?
No, you would have stuck it out and complained about it for another 6 months,
or I would have quit in a fit of rage in the middle of a board meeting.
Yeah. And then you would be labeled as that guy that got pissed off in the meeting and left. Instead, you were the guy that left the meeting early and to never return.
Right.
What happened to Craig? Remember Craig? Yeah. Whatever happened to the guy?
Right.
I heard that he jumped a train and now he's living in Mexico under an assumed name. No.
Yes. No, I'm in witness protection. If you have any benefits, I'm going to have you talk about one because I have to look up one that I found that I really like. I just can't remember which article it's in.
Okay. So you kind of did it with, you kind of mentioned the, how it like helps you with your motor skills, but as a cognitive dissonance, meaning it allows you to process, you talked about the prefrontal cortex and people that, that lucid dream use more of their brain, but it expands your mind a little bit and opens you up to new possibilities and new solutions that your brain wouldn't allow you to think because you're in a routine. Now, what this does is it knocks you out of that and allows you to think of things in another light. And this is a poor man's drug-free version of what CEOs of major Fortune 500 companies are doing with microdosing. They're actually taking small samples of LSD, or you can see it now in some states. They're actually starting to do psilocybin therapy. They are in the state of Oregon now, where they're doing controlled sessions of people that are actually taking magic mushrooms. Now, what this does is really helpful for PTSD patients, where when you have a guided tour of this trip, and within the trip, you're sitting with two different counselors, and they ask you all these questions to get to the root of the fear or the anxieties that the depressions that you're suffering. But at the same time, they put you in a calm state, and they took all of your not the vulnerabilities, but the
anxieties,
the walls
okay,
that you would put around these things. So it allows therapy to actually happen faster and within a few sessions instead of a few years.
Yeah, and people have used ayahuasca for that as well.
Yes, exactly. But what lucid dreaming will allow you to do is very similar, not to that extent, but within yourself, it'll open up a lot of other doors that otherwise you just keep walking by in your mind, because you're not using that all the time. So it reminds you that there's other options.
Right. And I found the other one. It gives, when you're in a lucid dream, you realize it gives you the benefit is you discover that you have the power of choice. And in your dream, when you're in your lucid dream, when you realize you have a choice in those dreams and how those dreams are going to play out, that is when you truly get to the deepest level of understanding. So basically it's that you discover the power of choice, and that's the other benefit, but that power of choice can be so powerful. And we talk about it all the time. You've heard us say it 1,000 times. You chose to get mad. You chose to get offended. It's the power of choice.
Exactly. So now there are certain things that you do within a dream, but there's a few that you shouldn't.
Oh, we're going into the dangers?
Not really, because we're kind of talking about, we've mentioned so much about control.
Yeah.
These aren't necessarily these aren't dangers. These are things that this is more preparedness. They're things that you shouldn't do because it can kick you out. Your subconscious can kick you out of your dream. And like the first one is within your dream is do not close your eyes. Now you're going to have this impulse like, okay, let's do some inception shit here. Let's dream within a dream.
Right.
But what happens is your subconscious thinks that you're trying to end it, and it will kick you out, and then you wake up. So now you're not in the dream at all anymore, and you're like, oh, fuck, I might as well get some coffee then.
Another thing that you should not do in your dream is kill somebody.
Yes.
Because everything in your dream represents a part of yourself. So if you kill somebody or something, you're killing a part of yourself.
Right.
And that can be very dangerous.
Yeah, everything that you manifest is actually part of yourself. So that spider or that demon that has been chasing you for a while, those are actually parts of your subconscious. And if you kill it this is more of a danger. That if you kill it, then that part of your soul might be dead.
Right.
Another one is don't lay down. You have this tendency to lie down, but when you lay down, your body's like thinking, your mind's like thinking, it's like, oh, you just want some sleep then, huh?
Right.
And it'll kick you out again. The other one is don't think about your real body. Because you may, if you start thinking about your real body, then within your dream, if you actually have an itch or a sore muscle, or, you might have a tendency to try to actually scratch it or stretch within your dream. Once again, disconnecting your thoughts.
Right.
Another one is don't do anything real exciting too soon. Okay. Don't start your thing with like hardcore Henry style and you wake up, jumping out of an airplane.
Right. Yeah.
Don't, you may want to, do some Matrix shit and start flying and stuff, but take it easy because when you do something too outlandish, especially if you're not fully in the register of being able to control a lucid dream, your subconscious is going to go, nah, that's silly, and it'll kick you out. Stay away from your real memories, because now this one is more of a danger. There's very rare circumstance, but you could erase a memory, but we'll go into that.
Yeah.
Another one is don't fantasize about somebody that you actually know too much.
Right.
Because like we said, this expands your horizons, expands your thing. The problem is you can create part of a relationship with somebody that they're not fully aware of, and outside it could actually hurt your actual relationship. You can start to believe that this person may be closer to you than is what is real. Your brain can actually, that's more of a danger too. But
I that just triggered a memory from when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I used to have this reoccurring dream where I was getting married to a brunette with green eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the love of my life. And then I met my ex-wife, who was brunette but had hazel eyes, not green.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to trick myself into thinking, okay, that was her, and obviously it wasn't. And my wife now is not a brunette and does not have green eyes either. But apparently that's who my soul was looking for when I was a child.
Interesting.
Yeah. I didn't even remember that until he brought that up.
That's interesting. So, the next one is avoid mirrors. Now I've read some stuff that says look at a mirror, but the reason, one of the reasons I'm going to say don't look at a mirror is you won't see yourself as, like we talked about, your hands and stuff. It's not going to look the same.
Right.
What's looking back at you in a mirror might not be what you want to see.
Right.
You can manifest yourself as something completely different. A better looking version of yourself that you're gonna wake up and then you're gonna go brush your teeth and go, God damn.
Or, since your subconscious is so involved into it, if you have a low self-esteem, it's going to show this hideous creature.
Exactly. So just avoid looking at mirrors. And then don't leave stuff for later, because you are in control of your dream. If you don't finish up what you need to within that dream, you think, well, I'm the master of my dreams. You can never redo the same dream twice.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
You can have similar, but never identical. So finish up what you're going to do within that dream before you move on.
It's funny because I don't know if this happened to you in your life, but how many times have you woke up from a dream and like you finally get somewhere with this girl and you're like getting ready to, and you wake up and you're like, shit, I want to go back to sleep and get back in that dream. You go back to sleep trying to get back into that dream, and you end up at somewhere else.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So when you wake up,
makes sense now.
when you wake up, you should just,
rub one out.
That's the other thing, because usually within 90 seconds of waking up, you forgot 90% of the details of the dream anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So these are a few things you should be doing. You should write it down, and you should
keep a dream journal.
Experience.
Yeah, dream journal.
Yes.
If you are going to experiment with lucid dreaming in any capacity, keep a notebook next to your bed and a dream journal. For me, it was I woke up my wife and told her my dream.
Mm.
And that's how I'm still able to remember every detail of it.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise, like you said, it would be gone.
See,
like I have some lucid dreams from my past that I remember most of it, but not all of it anymore.
yeah. Now I had it wasn't a lucid dream. It was just a regular dream the other day where I was in my hometown, and I'm walking around and I've got a plastic grocery bag, and I see somebody get thrown out of a bar, and they have a similar plastic grocery bag, and the person or the bouncer or whoever is screaming at this person, "You can't come in here with that." And I look at my bag, and I look at their bag, and they're both full of egg noodles, dry pasta. It's
Okay.
like, well, fuck, how am I supposed to get into the bar and keep this pasta? And that's when I woke up, because I went too far too soon.
Yep. So let's talk about the dangers a bit. And to me, the number one thing is I believe that lucid dreaming can become addictive.
Mm-hmm.
And I only believe that because anything that feels good, as human beings, we become addicted to.
Exactly.
But if you do it every night, you are going to suffer because you are not getting the appropriate amount of sleep.
Yes.
So it will kick in sleep deprivation, depression, everything that lack of sleep.
Look up all the side effects of lack of sleep, and lucid dreaming can bring all of those.
Yep. And like one of the, which is I think found odd, but like insomnia is a side effect of sleep deprivation.
Yes.
Because I've actually been there where I'm so tired I can't sleep.
Mm-hmm. I went through this whole phase in high school that I was that way. I would be exhausted by the time school was done, but the second I walked out those doors, I was wide awake, and then I was up until 2, 3, 4 in the morning again, sleep until 8, and then come back to be back to school the next day, and then do it all over again.
Right. There's another one. This one freaks people out, but it's a normal part of sleeping that we just don't realize. It's sleep paralysis.
Oh, yes.
Whenever you go into REM sleep, your body basically, you go into sleep paralysis because if you're in REM sleep and you're doing taekwondo, you're fighting this huge battle in your dream. If your body wasn't in sleep paralysis, you would be acting it out in your bed as you're sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
So your body does that to protect you.
You'd be kicking the puppy out of bed and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, go ahead.
Wanted to go into sleep paralysis a little bit more, because as it opposed, or I guess let's bring up the next one, another one, lucid nightmares.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to skip ahead on our list and jump to that one, because there's something I want to bring up that involves both of them. Now, as you can figure like how intense a wet dream would be as a lucid dream, but how introspectively nightmarish a nightmare would be if it's lucid.
I've had a lucid nightmare, but I'll talk about it later.
My one main lucid dream and my melatonin story are both about nightmares.
Okay.
But the one thing that I wanted to bring up is there's a phenomenon mainly in religious Christian. I know at the beginning we said we were going to talk about religion, but there are hundreds and thousands of documented stories of people being paralyzed in their bed and a demon showing up. And it was in the show of Evil that we talked about in earlier episode, where the lady's paralyzed, she cannot move, and then the demon George came in and sexually assaulted her and talked a whole bunch of shit and all this other stuff. Well, I feel that a lot of those stories of these people where they are actually having a lucid nightmare where they are in sleep paralysis. And that's what that whole thing is. And because most of them, when you hear about them on the 700 Club or other bullshit stories like that, or shows like that, they always say, in the middle of it, I stood up and I told that demon, by the power of Christ, I tell you to go back to hell, demon. And the demon does. Well, it's textbook lucid dreams. What did you already told a story, but a guy's being chased by a demon, and then he turns around and confronts the demon. I don't know, what's your story? It's like, oh, you want me to go to hell? Fine, bye.
Right. Right.
So I think the whole phenomenon, most of that phenomenon could be just wiped away if they understood lucid dreaming.
Right. And also, I mean, when you really come down to it, that demon is a representation of yourself, like we said earlier, and it's a part of you that you don't like.
Yeah.
Like the guy running away from it, it's just trying to get away from that part of himself he doesn't like.
But what did we say in things you shouldn't do in a dream? Kill something within the dream.
Right.
So if they slay the demon, they're actually slaying part of themselves.
Right. Whereas if they were
most of the time, those people are killing their common sense.
Right. Right. Yeah. So like some other, we talked about the bad sleep quality, but if you do it too much, you have, you can develop hyper realistic feelings, and it can cause hallucinations and things like that. Whereas you start to lose track of reality, basically, because you don't, when you're awake, you don't know if you're awake anymore, if you're dreaming, and that's going to happen through sleep deprivation and from doing this too often. I wouldn't recommend doing it more than once, maybe twice a week.
Yeah. Have you ever had those times where you're so tired, you're seeing shit?
Yes.
That's essentially what this is.
Yes. Yeah. So don't do it every night.
Yeah.
And you should really, if you're going to do it, you should really do it when you're in a positive mental state, because when I did mine, I was not in a positive mental state. And so therefore I was unable to control it. Mm-hmm. And I woke up angry and spent my entire day pissed off.
Yes.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
So only do it if you are ready to deal with who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you're going to find out, who you really are in your lucid dreams.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready for that, stay away from it. But I mean, it can cause, confusion, delirium, hallucinations, in the waking world if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And, that's basically categorized under derealization. But there's another one. I don't know if you found this. It's called dream claustrophobia.
No. Do tell.
Oh, shit. Let me find it again. So go ahead and talk about something while I'm trying to find it.
So we're throwing a bunch of stuff out there about how dangerous it can be. But one of the myths about a lot of this stuff is that you won't ever wake up, that you get trapped in your dream. So we'll go into a bunch of other debunked ones, but we're talking about a lot of these spooky shits. One of the things is being able to, or fuck, I was trying to find my article, getting trapped in a dream.
Oh, I found that one too. Yeah, was that on? That's on that Mind Valley blog.
Yeah, it is. It is on that one. So a lot of times what you'll think that in a lucid dream, this does happen where I'm not saying from personal experience, I'm saying from documented cases that we read about, where you wake up, but you're still dreaming. You wake up within the dream, but not in reality.
Right.
And some people think, it's a thing called false awakening, where if some kind of fear or some kind of trigger will make you kind of wake up, but then you're in a different place within the dream. It's almost like a reset button for the dream itself. And then these are things you need to understand when you do this, that this can happen. and then you just need to go forward from there.
Right.
It's like the next level of the video game. Now it's like you don't always start in the spot that you left off in the last level. You start off in this new area, and that's kind of what it is. But
Right.
it's never going to be one of these things where that's going to keep going and going and going, unless you get caught in the yellow room, which is a whole other level of scary dimension-wise. We won't talk about that right now, but those that know what the yellow room is will understand.
So I found it, and dream claustrophobia is when people become lucid in a dream scenario they are unable to manipulate or awaken from. And that can be absolutely fucking terrifying in certain situations.
Right.
If you're in a lucid nightmare and you get, dream claustrophobia and you're stuck in that nightmare, what can that do to that could scar your psyche.
Right.
And that's one of the things they say, that you should only try lucid dreaming after years and years of training.
Yeah. See, so if you don't know what the yellow room is, it's a fear of people have claimed that they've been trapped within this endless yellow room. It's just a repeating room. You walk across the room and then you turn the corner, it's the same room. You walk around through this door, it's the same room. It's the same room. It's the same room. And it's just
like the endless hallway.
Yeah. But it's more like a labyrinth, and you can spend forever in it because you can't get out.
Wasn't that in Inception?
It was a fear that, yeah. So anyway, it's kind of the same fear.
Yeah, but I mean, and this one kind of reaffirms the other ones. But one thing this article says is some fear that used in lucid dreams as a form of escapism will force them out of touch with reality. And that is quite possible.
Yeah.
That's why you don't do it every night.
No.
I mean, but also you should also, like, you wake up, you write down your dream in your dream journal, and then you should meditate. Because that will help reattach you to reality and deal with what you just wrote down and everything else.
Right.
That's where you combine the waking mind with the sleeping mind.
Yes. So going back to some of the bad things, it's like I was having a hell of a time in high school sleeping. So my mom suggested try melatonin. So I took the recommended dose that the bottle said, went up there, and now I did sleep. But I had some of the most introspective, disturbing nightmares that I was trapped in. I could not wake up from. Woke up, sheets are soaked from my sweat. It was the worst night of sleep I've gotten in my life up to that point. And I vowed to never take melatonin again. I've taken hallucinogens and not had that bad of an experience.
Yeah.
So then when I was in a relationship for like 9 years, when we ended, with the first night that I slept in my new place, I was laying, I hadn't had my stuff in the place yet, not sleeping well. And I'm sleeping on an air mattress because my bed is still in transit.
Right.
So I'm laying there, and literally it felt like hours. I'm talking to myself. I'm laying I'm looking at myself laying in bed, and this is what the whole dream was about, was me talking to me, looking at me within this room.
Oh, wow.
And it just went on and went on and went on, and then my alarm went off, and they're like, hey, get up. And I went up, and I got about my day, and it's like, it was so weird because I felt all three presences.
Yeah.
At the same time. It's like I knew all three perspectives, because one was sitting down, one was standing up, and then I was laying down. Right. But I knew their conversation, but me laying down couldn't respond. But the other two were asking questions. There's no answers, but they're just asking questions. And so waking up from that, I was in a fog for like the next few hours at work. And it was kind of like I knew I was awake, but I didn't feel like I was awake.
Right.
So I had no power over it because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to, I didn't know how to check. With my palm. I didn't know how to control the dream. It was still being. Obviously I was controlling it but it wasn't me laying down controlling it. It was one of the other two versions of me were controlling it.
Right. That's crazy.
And I never really had one since that I can recall, but that one was the most interesting. And I talked with another guy we were talking about lucid dreams. This is years ago. And he said after his father passed away, he was in a room with his dad, and he had the conversation with his father that he always wanted to have. And he chalked it up more. He was a religious Christian guy. He chalked it off as that he actually it was his father that was in there with him. It wasn't him doing it, but knowing that we were talking about lucid dreaming in the first place, he was controlling what his father was telling him. But when he came out of it, he felt a lot better.
And honestly, that's what it should be.
Yeah.
Like you talked about your lucid nightmare. My lucid nightmare happened in my 20s. And mind you, I know probably a lot of you are going, well, you just tried lucid dreaming the other night and you succeeded. I did not expect to succeed when I did that. I expected to not remember my dream and to not have a lucid dream at all. But I'm like, hey, what the hell? I'll give it a shot. That was just, I don't know. I'm not going to call it luck because it was bad. But so it was Thanksgiving. I want to say I was probably about 25.
Okay.
Nope, I was younger than that. I was probably like 19 or 20 because my mom was still alive.
Okay.
Because it was in her house. And mind you, I always thought this house was haunted by something malevolent. So
we've actually talked about that in other episodes.
Yeah. So, and I think I'm probably talked about this dream on it before too. But my bedroom, like if you walk in the bedroom door, if you open the bedroom door, you look and across from the door is a window, and my headboard of my bed was up against that window. To the right of the door was a little closet. To the left of the door was like a little desk, and then on that wall that goes to the on the left side there was the window, and the wall on the right was blank because there was other stuff behind that. There's other rooms. But in my dream, instead of my headboard being against the window, it was against the wall to the right. There was nothing on, so I could see the window. And I am flopping around on my bed, giggling hysterically. And I remember saying this because at the time, I think I still somewhat believed or was unsure of what to believe. I was young.
Right.
Not that even if you're older, people are still unsure of shit. So, but I was saying, in the name of Jesus Christ, I cast the out demon, and I was just laughing hysterically. Then my closet door opened, and this tall black figure walked out of the closet, walked around to the foot of my bed, put its hand on the foot of my bed, and while I was still flopping around, and then I woke up. Now, I've had plenty of nightmares in my life, and I've always been one that was able to go right back to sleep after them. And mind you, I'd been up for like 36 hours before I fell asleep that night.
Gotcha.
And I actually believe that sleep deprivation leading into sleep can cause lucid stuff. But
oh yeah, because I wasn't sleeping at all.
Right.
When that before mine.
Yeah. So every time I closed my eyes after that, I would see that black figure. And so I'm like, all right, I guess I'm up for a bit. So I got up. My mom was up. She was sitting downstairs watching TV and smoking because that's what she did, So I went down and talked to her for a little bit, and then eventually went back up and was able to go back to sleep. But that terrified me, especially in that house.
I bet.
That
would terrify me.
Yeah. But I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't even know it was a lucid dream.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt so goddamn real.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that too, because that's another one of the differences between a dream and a lucid dream is these ones are the ones feel that it feels so real because they are in fact physical.
Right.
So I think let's kind of talk about how you would get into lucid dreaming if you wanted to try.
Okay.
Some safe benefits or safe ways to get into it.
Right.
Now, one of the things it was a beginner's guide to lucid dreaming, a video that I watched, and we'll put the video and the link down below so you guys we can promote his thing. But the first thing he said was basically just spend a long time during the day leading up to sleep thinking about lucid dreaming. Think about it.
Right.
Think about it. Tell yourself, I'm going to lucid dream. Think about it. Get positive about it. Start thinking about it. Then he said, right before you go to sleep, meditate for 15 to 20 minutes. He's like, even if you're not in a meditation, just lay there and get into a good mind space before you start. And he goes, most of the time, you'll have your first lucid dream after trying this.
Yeah, I can see that because when you meditate, it's when you calm your mind the most, and when you're then you'd be able to control it better.
Yeah, and it puts you in a good position to have a positive lucid dream,
right,
instead of a nightmare.
Right. Now, mine I wouldn't call a nightmare. I would just call it a bad dream. The one from the other day, the one with the demon, that was a nightmare.
Yeah.
I did when I was probably like 18. I did have one with kind of Elvis in it.
Oh, nice.
So the whole dream, I'm at this party and I'm in the living room, and everything's in color, and they're like, hey, go in and get something, go in the kitchen, get something out of the fridge. So I go and I open the kitchen door and I close it, and it was like one of those TV shows that they've had before, where you're in this regular, and then you go into this room, close the door, and now you're in like a black and white 50s TV show.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what it was. It was like everything now was in black and white. And like half of like Elvis's torso and upper body and head were in the sink.
Oh.
And he said something to me, but I can't. I used to remember what he said, but now I can't remember it. But it was something like,
"Where am I? Have you seen my legs? Remember when I had legs?"
And he said, "Hey, something like open the fridge." So I opened the fridge, and then his head was right there, and it started talking to me again, and then I woke up. But it felt so real.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of funny.
It is very funny.
I mean, as a kid, I liked Elvis because I liked his movies that were on after school.
Oh.
And he always got the girls, so of course I liked Elvis. I wanted to be Elvis. Yep. But I was never been a big fan of his music. I don't hate it, but it's not something I seek to listen to.
Right. One of the other things I wanted to talk about is it's not lucid dreaming, but it's a way of maximizing REM sleep. And like we talked about lucid dreaming, and the reason that you can get really sleep deprived is because when you are in your REM sleep, you're being very active and your body's not regenerating and recuperating like it's supposed to because you're active in it.
Right.
And you can sleep for 8 straight hours, but sometimes wake up because you sometimes you'll wake up, you feel amazing. Other times you wake up and you feel like you can sleep for another 13 hours.
Right.
It really all depends on the rapid eye movement, part of your sleep. And you only get basically sleep 8 hours. You may get 2 hours worth of REM sleep in an evening. Okay.
Right.
The rest of the stuff is like, well, why should I sleep for 8 hours if I'm only getting 2 hours of good sleep? The rest of it's because you're laying still and your body's, you're not moving, so your body's, resting, which is still not bad to do.
Right. Well, it's not just it's resting. Your body's also healing itself from aches and
Yes.
pains that you had during the day,
Mhm.
you know, refreshing your system, you know.
But how can you maximize the amount of REM sleep that you get during a day? Well,
That is tough.
there's a couple of different alternative sleep cycles.
Okay.
There's biphasic and polyphasic. Okay. Now, biphasic is probably the easiest one of these to do. And polyphasic, they're basically the same thing. You just break your sleep up into different times. Okay. Instead of 8 together, you break it up into 4 separate or 3 separate. There's 60/30, there's 20/80. You break it up into different sections. Now, it generally takes 10 to 12 days for this to really start feeling the effects of, like, I'm not going to say biphasic, I'm just going to say polyphasic, because that's kind of the blanket term for all of alternative sleeping. Now, if you were to sleep, you can condition your body to get as much REM sleep, actually more REM sleep, within 4 hours, broke up into two-hour segments daily, than you can 8 straight hours. After about 10 days, actually it's 8 to 10 days, your body will actually condition itself to, the second you lay down, you can go into REM sleep almost instantly. So within a 2-hour period, you can get 45 minutes of REM sleep. Then you do that again, say 12 hours later, say you're sleeping 3 to 5, every day, 3 in the afternoon, 5 p.m., 3 in the morning to 5 in the morning. So now you have 20 hours a day to work with. And now you're getting 45 minutes of REM sleep twice a day, meaning that you're getting an hour and a half of pure REM sleep, where before, when your dog's waking up in the middle of the night, your wife's kicking you in the back, it's cold out, the blanket's on, the neighbor's car horn is going off, it takes you longer to get back to that REM sleep. You may only be getting 30, 40 minutes of REM sleep per evening. And then if you're
Right.
lucid dreaming on top of that, you're using up a good section of that. A dream is anywhere between 5 and 20 minutes. A lucid dream that's usually how long they can last, depending on your skill level and your
And your REM
ability.
cycle.
Yeah, and your REM cycle.
Because if
So,
your REM cycle ends, that dream will end right there.
exactly. And so if you are lucid dreaming, if you want to do this more frequently than what you probably should, I would suggest actually going into condition your body for an alternative sleep cycle first, and then try just one of your sleep cycles.
But don't you think that would, okay, so you retrained yourself into these sleep cycles, but now your body is dependent on those sleep cycles. So if you go into a lucid dreaming in one of those sleep cycles, it's going to take away from what you're supposed to get from that sleep
Well,
cycle.
if you're actually getting more REM sleep between the 2 cycles than you would just the one pure cycle. So one cycle could be lucid dreaming, the other cycle complete rest.
Right. Okay. I get it. Yeah. Because, I mean, we've all had those nights where, yeah, you slept really good, but you woke up more tired than you went to bed because of something that you did in your dream or whatever like that. Because lucid dreaming, like, if you're running a marathon in your lucid dream, you're going to wake up exhausted.
Yeah.
I mean, because it carries through. Like we said, what happens there can be transferred into reality as well. I mean, you're not going to shape shift in reality, but
Right.
it'd be fucking cool though.
No, one of the fears that I have about, now, we talk about a lot of things and a lot of a lot of the subject matter that we have. A lot of people can have some fears over,
Mm-hmm.
Bigfoot, aliens, self-help, self-actualization. There's a lot of things that people have fears about. Now, this is one that I actually do kind of have some reservations about,
I do too.
because of the fact that it was one of the reasons why I had to be very careful with any kind of a hallucinogen, because outwardly I've spent so many years in it. This is kind of grooming from our family that I'm numb to a lot of feelings. There's a lot of, things that honestly affect a lot of other people. I'm empathetic, I'm sympathetic, but I just, husk a shell
Right.
of, when it comes to a lot of major emotions. It really takes a lot to get me to seriously emote. And this one, where you can actually open up those doors and open up those repressed, all those things I've spent so many years pushing this shit down that I should see like fucking therapy over.
Right.
Having all of that stuff just open up at once, to me, it kind of scares the hell out of me.
Yeah. Yep. And see, for me, it's the situations like I had the other day, where I knew I was dreaming, but I could not figure out how to get control over it, and it turned bad.
Right.
Because it started out good. It started out getting to see my daughter. It started out with love and affection. And then it turned to anger so quickly.
Right.
And which wrecked my entire day.
Yeah.
And granted, I could have chose to let that go and stuff like that, but my mind was reeling all day trying to figure out, everything, because we talk about it all the time. We do a lot of, Jason and I both, we do a lot of self-analysis. And so my mind the entire day is going, okay, well, these are the reasons why, da 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 da. Because you can go out and buy a book for dream interpretation. It's generalized bullshit, because everything pertains differently to each person.
Yeah.
And maybe maybe next week we can do one on dreams and dream interpretations.
Actually, I was going to suggest that.
We're on the same page. Maybe we did it in our lucid dreams. But it's fascinating. And you know why I think it's truly terrifying to us? Because it would elicit change.
Right. Now, when I say I got all these repressed memories and all this stuff, I'm not talking like I was molested or something. I'm not talking like I molested anybody else. I'm not talking like I killed somebody in a previous life. I'm not talking about any of that shit. It's just like I've spent so many years just being numb.
Yeah. Well, and on that side of the family, that's how it was.
My mom's side is the same way.
The only emotion you show is anger.
Yeah.
Or laughing at a joke. But anything else you don't show. Like,
it's anger or mocking somebody.
Yeah.
And that's what I grew up with both sides of my family.
Yeah. Because my dad's side of the family is different. We could actually show emotions and stuff like that. So I think I was a little bit luckier in that, because I can show emotions. I don't like to. Nobody likes to cry in front of other people.
Right.
But that, I think, helped me, whereas it hurt you. You know what I mean? Because I don't have I have a lot of repressed shit. Everybody does.
Yeah.
And my therapist is trying to work that out of me, and I hope she does.
Yeah. It's just doesn't scare me to feel. It scares me to do it all at once.
Yes. And you're afraid of opening that. It's like, the story about the boy who put his finger in a hole in the dike to stop the dam from bursting.
Yeah.
You're like, right now you got that little kid in there holding those feelings back, and you're afraid that if he pulls out that finger, boom.
Right.
But it might be good for you too.
It probably would be, but I'd rather do it under the care of a professional.
Yes. Let's go find those people that are doing the mushroom stuff, and let's go do that and deal with it.
I want to do that.
I do too.
They're still a year away from actually having the clinics open, but they're starting to take appointments.
We should book now. Yeah, that would be awesome. But yeah, that's, and like I said when we opened up this episode, we have only scratched maybe 10% of the surface of this. There is, I mean, I could literally research this stuff 24 hours a day for 3 months and still only be like maybe 75% through the stuff that you can learn from this.
Right. This is very similar to when we did the Chaos Magic episode, where we give you enough, because that's where we are, and we're not experts. We just research this stuff for a week or so.
Yeah.
We give you enough information for you to research it yourself. We want to pique your curiosity.
Right. And, you know, stuff like this is fascinating. We are living in, a lot of people don't realize it or are just ignoring it or saying it or denying it, but we are in a world where people are starting to awaken. And this is part of that. This is part of that journey. This is part of that awakening the mind, awakening the spirit, awakening the soul.
Yeah.
You know, whatever religion you are, this is going to help you with that as well. It'll help you understand your religion better.
Exactly. If you're, trying to write a novel, this can help you with that. If you're trying to open a business, this can help you with that. If you're just trying to be a better person, this can help you with that.
Yeah. Or if you're stuck, and like this, especially to artists, like writers and artists, like even though I don't believe in writer's block or artist block, I just think it's just a lack of motivation, because I've had what you call writer's or artist block, and it's just like I just can't think of what to do. So all you got to do is just start doing something, and it's going to come to you. But if you feel like you are stuck like that and you can't find the solution, you research lucid dreaming and practice it. You're going to find that solution.
It's kind of like when you're talking about the awakening. It's kind of like the movie They Live. Roddy Piper gets the glasses, and all of a sudden you realize that there's propaganda everywhere, and there's aliens running this shit.
I haven't watched that movie in years, but I've heard it's been brought up now by you and a couple of other things that I've seen over the last 3 months. I'm like, I guess I'm gonna have to watch it again. Wow. Because there's got to be something to it. And see, that's one of those things about self-awareness that we talk about, is if there's a recurring theme that keeps coming into your life, check it out.
Yeah.
Don't ignore it.
Oh, right.
Follow it and see what's going to come out of it.
If you don't know, it's the place that actually popularized the term. It was one of the first ones to popularize the term. I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Right. Yeah. So I guess sum up today's episode. We talked about lucid dreaming. We explained what it was. We explained the difference between lucid and regular dreaming. We talked about the benefits. We talked about the dangers, and we talked about some do's and don'ts and some ways to get into it.
Yeah. Pretty basic.
We implore you, please do not try this without researching it or without getting help from somebody who has experience with it.
Right.
But try it, see what happens, but do it with an open mind. Everybody, open your minds.
And if you are researching it, make sure you do something before bed that gets your mind away from lucid dreaming before you're ready.
Right.
Watch a mind-numbing show, read a book, meditate on something else, Otherwise, there's a chance you may do it accidentally.
Right. Like I did.
Exactly.
Because I don't recommend what I went through. That was not fun. But it's not going to shut me off from lucid dreaming.
No.
But it is going to stop me from doing it until I'm ready to do it.
Exactly. There you go.
So with that being said, all you lucid dreamers out there, dream on, motherfuckers. Love y'all. Peace out.
Insert lucid dream here.